complete the course of Informatica. Now, we are going to discuss about these advanced topics. So, let me try to let you things be clear. In the first phase of the training program, we talked about the business cases to let you understand what Informatica tool is all about. Then in the second phase, we discussed about how Informatica is used in a data warehouse project. That is source to staging, staging to dimension tables, CD1, CD2, incremental loading, incremental aggregation. And the last thing which left out is in the workflow, how the creative workflows work with it. That we will discuss on the last day of the class of the training program. Now we have few advanced topics which we are going to discuss. The first thing, please observe very carefully, understand very carefully. Here the database was source_student, and we loaded the data into a target database. Here we created three databases. One is called DEV source, another was DEV STG, another was data mart. I hope you are not able to see it, just I will show you that in a minute. So you had three databases for data warehouse project. And he had source and student database for business case Informatica tool learning. So for advanced topics, we couldn't, please listen very carefully and understand it, please. Don't get confused what I'm telling. For advanced topics, we couldn't incorporate in this data warehouse mini case study, which we discussed, so we separated it. But for this, we didn't create another databases. So we used your business case database, that is source, student, user ID password which you have used, target underscore your ID password which you have used. That we have taken into consideration to explain you the four advanced topics of Informatica, which I am going to discuss now. So have things very clear for all of you is now I am using these databases to discuss your advanced topics in Informatica. Now, I have a business requirement. Please understand it and try to catch this scenario. I have a business requirement. Extract the data from DYN customers table and load the data into TGT DYN customers. In this advanced topics, that DYN customers table is in the source database, the business case source database, and we are going to load into TGT DYN customers, that target database. We are moving away from the case study databases. We are going back to the original databases which we have used to understand Informatica. So DYN customers is the source and TGT DYN customers is the target table. This is SCD type 1 mapping, and it does not have a surrogate key. I don't want to include surrogate key in this concept. So I don't have a surrogate key, just a source. I load into this table. In projects, you load it from staging to dimension tables. If it was a mini case study project in that, or in your project tomorrow when you come across this type of scenarios. Now here, I'm going to extract the data from DYN customers and load the data into TGT DYN customers. Now, first step, I have to define the source and the target that is in DYN customers table and the TGT customers table. Let me discuss the business case of this. What this business case is all about is of advanced topic 1 is in a particular source system, for example, they enter customer data through any of the front-end screens into their transaction system. Here the option is, in the morning if I enter the customer data, customer ID, customer name and all that stuff, but suppose I have entered the address incorrect, I have given incorrect, or the lifestyle people or Walmart people entered the address incorrect, which I realized, and in the afternoon I called them and said, you have entered my address incorrect. That is, I live in San Jose, but you have entered as San Francisco. Just I'm giving an example. So what that person in Walmart will do, like this. This is a table. You have customer ID, and you have the address, and you have the phone number. So 101, he entered San Francisco, and the phone number 123456789. So in the afternoon when I called them, in the particular source system, they don't update the record. They insert it as a new record in this system. This is the way source system works in a particular business unit. And in the evening also, and then I realized that they have entered my phone number incorrect. They should have entered 567890123, but they entered as 12345678990. Then I called them, so they entered it as a new record. In the source system. So a single customer on a particular day can have multiple records. A single customer on a particular day can have multiple records. So, but how to identify the records? Which is the latest? Which is not the latest? How they do it? There should be some indicator. We cannot find out which is the latest record. So in systems, they may have what we call as a versioning or a flag. So whenever you enter a record, the first record they will put it as 1, then the second record as 2. So again you enter a record, they enter it as 3. So this versioning will indicates the maximum, whichever is the latest. So this is the data in your source system. So same customer can have multiple records. Same customer can have multiple records on a particular day. On a particular day, they can have multiple records. This is a OLTP system data. Are you clear about this, please? Everybody, please. So a customer can have multiple records on a particular day. Yasim Rupali. So in the given circumstances of a data warehouse, in the source system I'm doing select star from DYN customers, where just I'll give you an example where trust ID is equal to 80. So this customer has 3 records, 1, 2 and 3. Answer to your question, Venkat. Row ID concept may be in Oracle, maybe in a Sybase, it may be there or it may not be there. Because row ID is used, you can also use row ID, it's fine, but but it is a general data warehouse because row ID is used by technical people. But I am a layman. I want to see the latest record of a customer, so I don't use a row ID for myself. Technical people use row ID, yes, but from a business perspective, they don't understand what is row ID, so we say version to them. Are you with me? Answer to your question, for technical people, yes, but for non-technical people, they cannot understand. So when we do for non-technical people, we generalize it. So in that case, we said version, whichever has the maximum version number, they will put it. So while inserting the data itself, they will put that number into this versioning. So this is the source data. Yasim, are you there? So this is the records in the source system. So let us do a scenario. I want to extract the data from DYN customers and load the data into TGT DYN customers. It is SCD type 1. So you extract the data from the source and load the data into the target table. While doing it, you extract then you will put it as TGT DYN customers. So next record comes in. You insert 102 from source to target, checks if the record does not exist, then you go and insert it. What is our SCD type 1 logic is if the record does not exist, you insert it, else you update it. So next day, this is the data, for example, 101 comes in, you check the record, does not exist. Yes, it exists, so you go and update it. You check the second record, it does not exist, so you insert it. Check the next 103 record, the concept which I have explained you, having multiple records for the same customer. So 103, again it exists, so you go and update the record in your target table. So how you would have done in Informatica is first you would have imported from the database. Which database? That is SP14 source. This is source underscore student. From here I will import the table structure of DYN customers. I'm using the first business case ODBC connections. PGT DYN customers. Actually, I have to do two mappings, so please bear with me. So first, I'll explain you what it is, what is the problem, then the solution. M underscore so my source DYN customers, my target TGT DYN customers. What we did in SCD1, transformation, create, expression, best practice. We don't need dealership ID in this example, so we won't take dealership ID. Then transformation, create, lookup on PGT DYN customer. I hope I don't need to explain all these things for you, because it is a CD type 1 which we have done already. So I'll put the customer ID in this. Delete the columns I don't require. This is my input. Customer ID is equal to customer ID input. Then I have to check in the router. If I am going fast, please let me know. I am just a bit fast because I assume and I understand that you have done the SCD1 mapping, so I am just looking at it. Customer ID, where you used to take customer ID lookup, but we don't have customer ID key for the lookup, but here I'll take the customer ID of your lookup table, which will return a null value if the condition fails, which will return a value if the condition is true. So I'll take this into my Informatica, then group condition, new record, is null, customer key lookup, customer ID lookup, sorry, another condition. You can use default group, but just for completeness I am doing this. Not is null, customer ID lookup key. Transformation, create, update strategy for insert. So from the router transformation, you take it into your update strategy transformation from customer ID to version, then from customer ID to version, properties, td underscore insert. Another update strategy to update the record from customer ID to version, from customer ID to version. Save your work. You should say dd_update. This is your simple SCD1 logic. So now you use the source qualifier expression. You do a lookup on the target table. You put a lookup condition. You put a router. You put a group 1, group 2 conditions, insert and update into the target table. This is the mapping of your SCD1. You execute it. There is no data in the source. There is no data in the target, so lookup will not have any data. First record comes in, scans the record, scans the lookup cache. Record does not exist, so it will return a null value. If it returns a null value, we'll go and insert that record into the target table. Then 102 comes in, scans the cache. Record does not exist, so it will return a null value. Then it will go and insert the record in the target table. Are you with me? This is simple SCD1 which we have done. Now next day what happened? This is the data in your target table. Here it should be version 1. There is a mistake here. Now you extract the data from the source. And lookup as we extracted the data into the cache. First record comes in, scans the cache. Record exists, so it will return a value. So it will go and update the record in the cache in the target table. Please observe the functionality of lookup here. Lookup, as I reiterate, I have told you many times, lookup, the functionality of a lookup is lookup at runtime. As soon as you execute the session through your workflow, the way Informatica works is it extracts the complete data from the source and simultaneously spelling may be wrong. See, the lookup, if you have a lookup transformation, if it is on a table, it will fire a select statement and gets the data into the lookup cache. While the session is running, lookup will not refresh the cache. That is, it will not go to the table on which you did the lookup or file on which you did the lookup. It will not refresh the data from the cache. So, for every session, at the start, lookup will get the data from the table or file on which you get it into the cache. And while the session is running, it will not refresh the data. This type of cache, this is static. That's why this is a static cache. They call it as Informatica has static cache by default. Now you observe the game very carefully. Now 103 comes in, scans the cache, record does not exist. So it will return a null value. So as per the logic, it will go and insert the data. Now again, next 103 comes in on the same day. John has two records. The cache record does not exist in the lookup cache. So it will, please observe very carefully the functionality of this lookup and the output of this lookup is only pertaining to that lookup transformation. It will check if there is a value, it will return. If the condition fails, it will return a null value. That's all the lookup does. That's all the lookup does, please. Like a gateway, based on this condition, either it will return a value. If it is not, it will return a null value. That's all lookup does. After it returns null value, what you have to do is your logic. So group 1, again it will return a null value. Based on what it will return a null value? It will return a null value because it does not exist in the cache. It does not exist in the cache. That's why it will return a null value, not because it is not there in the target table. It will not look at it because when the session ran, this 103 was not there in the target table, so it didn't have it in the cache. Lookup will not refresh. So second record of 103, when it comes in, it will return a null value. When it returns a null value, again you try to insert the record in the cache into the target table. It will insert the record in the target table. So when it inserts the record in the target table, then as per our requirement, this is incorrect. It should have updated the record in the target table. If not, it should not load the data into the target table if your customer ID is a primary key. If the customer ID is a primary key, means only unique record should be there, then it should not have loaded the data into the target table. So in this diagram, customer ID is not a primary key, so it went in this diagram just to explain you this. Actually, it is a primary key only. It should not load the data, but to explain you, I have put it in this diagram as inserting into the target table. So it will be, actually it will not be inserted, but to explain you, then it will insert this record which is incorrect data. Are you with me, please? Are you clear about the problem? That is, you should not put, it is a series type 1, so it should have updated the record, but it is trying to insert the record in the target table. So, what to do for this? Let us show you this also in my mapping. Let me execute this for our discussion's sake. I'll create a session for this. The source connection is in my mapping. The source connection is not DVSRC, it is source SB14. There are two target tables, so two target connections. Change bulk to normal. Two target connections. Then lookup connection. Here also target connection. Then you say OK. Workflow. Delete from TGTDYN customers. Now I'll execute this. What will happen? Do you have a question for you regarding that customer ID for 80 in the source? There are 3 records with version 1, version 2, and version 3. Now I executed this mapping. How many records it will load pertaining to customer ID 80? How many records it will load? And which version or versions it will load? Venkat, Biba. Simple question. I've shown you the source has version of 3, customer ID 3, 80. There are 3 records. So I've executed the mapping for that customer ID 80. How many records it will load? And which version or versions it will load when I execute this mapping? You said clear, right? When I explained it. I have explained in my diagram. Actually, this is customer ID is a primary key. For your analysis purpose only, I have inserted this to make things clarity to you. That's what I gave the statement. It will load only 1 record. It cannot update it. It cannot update it. This is what my explanation was. Why it cannot update? This is what I gave the explanation. Answer to my question is, it will be definitely will have only 1 record because customer ID is a primary key in the target table. It can load any one of the records because based on the extraction it will do it and all that stuff, but generally what we have observed it will do default order by. So it will load only 1 record for in the target table. Everybody please be focused. First record only it has loaded. When it tries to load the second record, it will try to insert it. Why? Observe this. It will try to insert the record in the target table. Observe this. I have given the statement very clearly written at runtime. Lookup will get the data into the cache once per session only. That's why it is called static. While running the session, lookup will not refresh the cache. Now look at it. 101 comes in. When you execute it, in the lookup cache will get 101 and 102. So 101 comes in, scans the cache, record exists, lookup returns a value. If lookup returns a value, then we go and update the record as per this logic. Then 103 comes in, scans the cache, record does not exist, 103 of the first record, so it will return a null value. So it goes and inserts the data into the cache. Second record of 103 comes in, lookup does not have that record, so for the second record also it will return a null value. Then again it will go and insert the data into the cache. In Informatica, those records will not be loaded because the second record of 103 is coming in and customer ID is a primary key, so it will not load the data. So remaining two records, it will come in the process, but it will not load the data into the target table. Here for your explanation purpose, I said it will go and insert it, which is incorrect data. Practically, it will drop the record. 103 will not be loaded into the target table because of customer ID. It will not update it because lookup is returning a null value. Why is lookup returning a null value? It will not refresh it. Is it clear now? Are you with me? Please understand it. Please try to look at it. Because this is very important. Venkat, are you with me? Because this is very important to the concept which I am going to discuss now. So, to overcome this, what should we do? Now you have this mapping. Same scenario is this. So 101 comes in, lookup cache, looks at it, record exists, then you go and update the record as per the logic. So you have updated it. Please be very clear what I am discussing. This logic, from here you do what you want to do as per your logic. So this is up to us. My focus is on this lookup only, the way lookup works. So 103 comes in, scans the cache for the first record, does not exist, so it will return a null value. So somehow let it return a null value, but dynamically I put 103 in this. So dynamically, if I would have put 103 at runtime into the cache, let it return for the first record a null value. You go and insert it. When the second record comes, if you have already inserted into the cache at runtime dynamically, then it will return a value. When it returns a value, then as per your logic, you can go and update the record in the target table. So at runtime, we need to either insert into the cache. Insert into the cache. That is the logic which we are going to discuss now. Is insert the record into the cache. For that, what we do? So please observe my explanation. So at runtime, I want to put data into my lookup cache. At runtime, that is called dynamic. That is called dynamic lookup. So at runtime, you put the data into the cache. So there are three options to put the data into the cache at runtime. One is you insert into the cache. Second option is you update the cache. That is, if that customer ID already exists in the cache, it's already there in the cache, you can update it. Or even if it exists, you don't want to change it, then you no change for the record in the cache. There are three options in Informatica. So runtime, if I put 103, then that is you are inserting into the cache. If that record already exists in the cache, then I'll go and update the cache. Or if there is no change to the data in the cache, then I will not do anything for that. So three options are there. So at runtime, if you want to insert into the cache or update the data into the cache, or no change into the cache runtime if you want to do it, that type of cache in Informatica is called a dynamic lookup cache. That type of cache is called dynamic lookup cache. So let me create this mapping for you. Then I'll change it to dynamic lookup cache. Then I will explain you. M underscore advance underscore TGT underscore DYN underscore customers. This is a mapping. So my source is DYN customers. My target is TGT DYN customers. Now please observe very carefully. Transformation create expression. I will take from customer ID to version only into this. Now transformation create lookup on TGT DYN customers. This is my table. Then I'll put my customer ID into this. That is my input. I'll put the condition as customer ID is equal to customer ID input. For better performance, I remove all the ports which are not required. I'll remove it, all the ports except the version. Why? I'll tell you in few minutes. I'll keep the version which is coming from my lookup. Then go to the properties. By default, it is static. Now you make it dynamic. It is dynamic lookup cache to enable that. When you enable dynamic lookup cache, few things happen in this transformation. Automatically a port will be created that is called a new lookup row. Informatica creates automatically a port called new lookup row. And also it enables this associated port. It enables this associated port. So as soon as you make it dynamic, it will be a new lookup row. What is this functionality of new lookup row is, if you insert the data into the cache at runtime, if you dynamically insert the data into the cache, then this new lookup row port, which Informatica by default keeps it, when you make it dynamic, will return value, will contain 1. If you update the cache, then new lookup row will contain value 2. If you don't no change to the data, if you does not make any change to the data in the cache, then new lookup row will return 0. This is internal to Informatica. So you can insert the data into the cache at runtime. That is, the new lookup row will return 1 for that row. If you update the record in the cache, then it will return new lookup row is equal to 2. If you don't make any change to the cache, then it will return new lookup row is equal to 0. So observe here. You have a customer ID and we have a version. I didn't take all the columns. Just let me give you the scenario. So we have 101, 102, 102, 103, 104, 105, 105, 105. So multiple records exist in my source. Now I am working on the lookup cache. How it works, please observe it. As soon as you make your lookup, dynamic lookup cache, Informatica lookup transformation will put a new lookup row, customer ID, which is coming from your new lookup, and I'll put the version. This customer ID is your input, and you have to take the version also from your source. Why, I will tell you in few minutes. So this is your lookup cache. As soon as I execute it, it does not have any record. So first, that is your input to this. So record does not exist. So as per your dynamic lookup cache, it will go and insert the data into the cache. But at the same time, this when it returns, new lookup row will contain 1 because it is inserting into the cache. This is lookup cache, please. This is your lookup cache. So when 101, when your input 101 comes in with version 1.0, it scans the cache. Record does not exist in the cache, so it will return 1. So here what you do in a router is, you will put the condition, if new lookup row is equal to 1. Why? It will not return null values and all that stuff. It will return 1 in the new lookup row. So when does it return null? When does it return 1? When the condition fails. When the condition fails, it will return null value. In previous example, here new lookup row will return 1. Means if the record does not exist in the cache, new lookup row will return 1. If it returns 1, that corresponding record will go and insert into the target table. We will go and insert the record into the target table. So in the target table, you have 101, 1.0. Now second record comes in 102 and 1.0. As per the condition, it scans the cache. Record does not exist, so it will go and insert the data in the cache. If it inserts for the corresponding 102, it will return 1. So if it returns 1, we will go and insert into the target table. Then 102 comes in, scans the cache. If you don't put version, for a discussion sake, you don't have a version, only just this one. So what will happen is, when 102 comes in, second 102 coming in, what it will do? It will check the record 102 exists. But there is no change because customer ID doesn't change, but it exists. Then if it does not change any data in the cache, then new lookup row will return 0. New lookup row will return 0. New lookup row will return 0. So, to reflect the change, if you want to reflect the change, not only same customer ID, if it comes, there is no change to the customer ID. There should be some other column which will reflect the change of that particular record. For that, we will use associated port. For that, we will use associated port. Which column you want to associate? Other than the condition column. Other than the condition column, in the condition you specify it. If other than that column, if there is a change, how will you identify a change? Same customer ID will be having multiple customer ID, so you want to change. So for that you will use associated port. For that you will use associated port. So in this case, that associate port is version. So I will associate this version to this version. So when the 102 second record comes in, as per condition, true. But there is a change in the version, so it will go and update this record. It will go and update this record. When it updates, your new lookup row will become 2. If you put the condition in your router, if new lookup row is equal to 2, then you go and update the record in the target table. So it will go and update the record in my target table to 2.0. Then 103 comes in. 103 with version 1.0 comes in. Record does not exist, so it will go and insert the record in the cache. If it inserts the record in the cache, new lookup row will contain 1 for 103. So if it is 1, you are going to insert the data into the target table. Same way 104 comes in. Scans the cache, record does not exist, condition fails, so you said you insert it. So it inserts the record in the cache, but new lookup row will return 1. If it returns 1, I am going to insert the data. That logic I will build in my router transformation and update strategy. Now observe it. 105 comes in of 1.0. Scans the cache, record does not exist, so it will return the data. It will insert the data into the cache. New lookup row will return value 1. So if it is 1, 105, 1.0. Next 105 and 2.0 comes in. Condition true, this is equal to this. But if there is a change to the data, which column will decide? The associated port will decide. So there is a change. So what they do? It will go and update the record in the cache. If it updates the record in the cache, new lookup row will return 2. If new lookup row is equal to 2, you are going to update the record in the router. That logic is router transformation and update strategy. Next record of 105 comes in. 3.0 scans the cache, record exists. 105 is fine, 105 is fine. But there is a change in the version, so it will go and update it. If it updates it, then new lookup row will become 2 for that 105 record, so that record will go and update it in my target table. This is called a dynamic lookup cache. So when you do dynamic lookup cache in Informatica, three things happen. When you do the dynamic lookup cache, 2-3 things happen in Informatica. One, a new lookup row port will be enabled, and you have associated port. Other than the join condition of your lookup, other column which you want to associate, then you use associated port. And also at the properties level, you want to insert or update the record in the cache. Update the record data in the cache dynamic. For that, in the property sheet of your property sheet, after dynamic lookup cache, there is insert else update or else update else insert. Regarding update else insert, you go and read the help. Here, insert the record is not found in cache, else update it. If you don't do this, it will not work. So dynamic lookup cache, you enable it. Insert else update, you enable it. So as per this example, you have the version as your associated port and you have specified the condition. Now, version, I will take this version from here and I associate it. I associate my version to this. I associate my version to this. This is coming as my input. I will associate it to this associated version input. Then transformation, create a router for your TGT, DYN customers. You take new lookup row, that will give you the conditions for all. Then take the customer ID, till customer age, do not take version from your source. This is the way Informatica works. You take the version from your lookup transformation. From the lookup, you take that one. That's the way Informatica works. Please write down a point there. You have to take the output of the version to reflect the changes. Take the output of the associated ports. Take the output of the associated ports. Then only it will reflect the changes. Then transformation, create update strategy to insert the data in my target table. So in a router, group condition, new record. If I am going very fast, please ask me. If it is new record, you go and write if new lookup row is equal to 1. If it is new lookup row is equal to 1, another condition, if it is existing record, new lookup row is equal to 2. New lookup row is equal to 2. Two group conditions are specified. So, from here I will take the customer ID till version. And from customer ID till version, I am going to insert it. Update strategy, properties, TD underscore, insert. Create, update strategy, update. For that existing record, from customer ID to version, you take it into this and say TD underscore update. Take the target table, another target table, and link it to the target table. So this is how you do the mapping in Informatica. So dynamic lookup cache will return the values. So let's see the game now. I have the source expression. So version will be my input, lookup condition, router new lookup row, and version is coming from my lookup transformation, please. First, there is no record in the target tables, so no record in the cache. First record comes in 101, scans the cache, record does not exist, so it will insert the data in the cache, and then it will, new lookup row will become 1. Then data goes into my new lookup row. Sujay sir వచ్చిందా? So it goes and inserts into the target table. Second 102 comes in, scans the cache, record does not exist, condition failed, record does not exist, so it will insert it. The new lookup row will return the value is equal to 1. So if it is 1, you go and insert the data. Now look at it. Next time when you execute it, this is the target table data in the lookup cache. It scans the cache for 101. There is a change in the data, that is associated port is different, so it will go and update it. If it updates the cache, it will return new lookup row will return 2. So you go and, if new lookup row is equal to 2, you go and update the record in the cache in the target table. 103 comes in, scans the cache, record does not exist, so it will insert the data in the cache. The new lookup row is equal to 1. If it is 1, you go and insert the data in the target table. Next 103 comes in, scans the cache. 103 and 103 are equal, but the version will be the change in the data. So associated port is changed. Data is changed, so it will go and update the record in the cache. If it updates, it will return 2. If it returns 2, you go and update the record in your target table. This is what is called as dynamic lookup cache. Any questions, please? Please respond. So if you don't have any questions, please open your sheet and write down this. Source is ODBC connection. Please observe it. Don't relax. When you go to the lab, there is a change the way you have the ODBC connection on. So please write it down. After you have written this, please let me know. That question is for Asim. Asim, that is work for you. How do you do it? In just a curiosity question from my side. So please please write down this session. I will execute now. Asim, are you there?
Yeah, so Vijay, you want to look up runtime, basically, right?
Yeah, in ab initio they do the same way?
No, in ab initio there's a different concept called phasing. So, so in phasing, what will happen is, let's say you want to look up runtime. So you unload that table in one phase,
Okay.
and then you look up on a different phase. So there, remember we did that. You showed how to do it in order, right? In mapping. Yeah, but even that, it wouldn't be runtime. So I don't think there is anything runtime you can do in ab initio. Yeah. Yeah, the max you can do is in different phases you can unload that table that you have already loaded and then try to look up from that.
Yeah, that becomes
Yeah,
great.
you're right. That's not the right way to do it. So, I mean, I don't think this feature is there.
Okay. Are you feeling comfortable about this training and all that stuff? Because you know I've been sure you had a feel of ETL tool. I'm not talking about Informatica's advantages or the way we provide this training. Do you look at it? Is it your opinion?
Yeah.
I'm not talking from Informatica. Yeah, my approach to this training of letting people understand how a ETL tool training program. Do you have any suggestions for that or anything?
Yeah, I was telling my friends, I love the way you have designed the program, the way the case studies are done. I really, like that. The only thing was the last 2-3 days I couldn't do much because I'm on call this week, so it's been really hectic for me. But this is very good, even for people who are listening. I know how an ETL tool works. So what you're doing is not just theory, right? I was a little skeptic when I started. You might be doing a lot of theory and not much practical. But this is really good. I know you're doing each and every scenarios. Yeah. So yeah, and we get
Thank you.
we get to do 1 month of lab right at the end. So that's where we really
It will
expand
help the
on
people
that.
a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, yes. Now, to your question, Rupali, if you don't have the scenario of changing the data, you can do that also. That we will do without using associated port in tomorrow's class, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow's class, we will do without using associated port. The scenario I will give you where you will do it without doing associated port. So let me execute this. Here is the associated port, please. Lot of people, as you said, Yasim, lot of people have this training program which we do. As you said rightly, what is in store for the people, nobody will be able to judge as how we provide the training and all. After people believe in us or take small risk of joining us, lot of people are skeptical. All people I have spoken to, which we have given training, everybody was worried how it will be done. But a lot of people said that Informatica, the case studies and the flow, a lot of people have been happy with us, the flow, how it works. But everybody is skeptical. But whoever takes the training, those are the people I look at them to help us out. If anybody asks you, because you are the people who are going to look at it. You are the people who has taken it. So if somebody asks you, I want to talk to everybody separately, but the topic has come. I want to, I need your help to provide this type of trainings to the people. Then if I tell that this is the best training, and that is not the way the world works. Somebody has to watch for this training, or somebody has to tell that we have taken this training. You can share your thoughts to them. So I request everybody that tomorrow I want to call you, everybody actually, to find when somebody asks me, I want you to help us out, to tell about this training, because this is a very new concept, as Yasin said. A lot of people are very skeptical because they think that it is recorded, it is online. Yes, there is a challenge in this. What challenge is, you cannot see me, I cannot see you, but that is virtual world. Now whole world is working like that. So this is, we have to, if you want to this is the way we have to live with it, I think, in the future. And people in the future, I think pre-recorded classes will be more. Uh, People will come into it. Um, I think because online is just still people are doing it, but still in a niche area. But I need all your help so that when somebody asks me how the training is, I want to give your email ID or phone number or so that you can just give my feedback. That help I need from all of you. I hope you will help me in this. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Yasin. Now coming back to this is associated port Venkat. You connect this version to version input. So now I'll go and create a session for this. Beautiful concept this is because I'm in this Informatica from last 8 years. I think this came in version 8, I believe. Mm. So version 7, sorry. So beautiful. Where you will use it, it's a very you will use it in many scenarios where end user uh, doesn't want to update every record in the target table and all that scenarios. So, but this, when we did this concept, we felt really energized after seeing this way of doing it. And but to put it in a training program, we face a lot of challenge because we need to get that type of data. We need to work out that type of data, and we have to tell the explanation should be very clear about it. So we face that challenge, but that is part of the game. But this concept, I like it very much. This and incremental loading. A lot of people look at incremental loading as a very simple concept, but mapping variable came from version 5. I worked in version 4.7 when there was no mapping variable. But we have to do incremental loading. That was a really tedious job in those days. But now mapping variable 3-step scenario, we are done. Now I'm going to extract this data from the source and load it into my target. Succeeded. Let us look at the data. It will have only one record and it is version 3. It will have only one record and it is version 3. So it has updated the record in the target table. With this, I am done for today. Do you have any questions, please? Any questions, please? But one thing I suggest everybody is read help. Read help. That will help you out a lot. I reiterate again, I can take the horse, still the water, I cannot make it drink. I can share my knowledge, I can share my experience, I can guide you, but I cannot do it for you. Please understand it. Any questions, please? So thank you very much. Have a nice day. I'll give the